Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 49 of the Brighter Horizons podcast. Yes, you read the title right. I almost died. Crazy story. We're going to get into that. And also all the crazy shenanigans that we got up to in the past week, because it has been quite a wacky week. So through this episode, you're going to hear all our crazy stories and have a newfound appreciation. So by the end of this episode, you're going to care a lot about your life, all right? Because you're special. Yes, you behind the camera, wherever you may be, you are special. What you have is a gift. So cherish it. And also, you will be thoroughly entertained because, yes, there were many shenanigans involved. Without further ado, let the shenanigans begin. How was your week, good sir?
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't know what shenanigans you're talking about.
Oh, this is very interesting.
Is there shenanigans that I should know about?
Kind of. You were there. But actually, before we get into the shenanigans, it took 1 week of not
This
shaving.
guy's like the worst.
1
He
week
failed immediately.
was all I could
Look at
take.
this.
I cannot stand it. My beard line,
You can't see it
terrible.
on camera. It's because of the lighting, okay? My beard is coming in, guys. Believe it or not. My beard, like you can see it.
yeah, 100%.
Right? It's
He's
pretty good.
actually got a kind of blessed beard
It's coming
line.
in, but the lighting makes it look bad, okay? It's good. It's good, okay?
Okay.
The lighting makes it look
Yeah, okay,
bad.
we get it. We get it.
The lighting. I just need you guys. I want to emphasize the fact that the lighting is what makes it look bad. Okay, it's good.
So basically, it's the lighting, all right? But
Yeah.
either way, point is, I mean, I definitely look better with a clean-shaven face, but it's funny because I thought, okay, I'll see how far I can go. And then after like 1 week, I looked in the mirror, and I was like, this is actually horrendous. I can't
Dude, like
do this anymore.
I don't know. I feel like for me, it's just like it's different. I don't think it's like bad.
Yeah, but that's because you got like a good beard line. Like
Yeah,
yours
mine
is like
comes up.
fully like all the way there. For me,
Yeah.
it's like just the bottom bit.
Yeah.
And personally, I don't like facial hair to begin with. So
Like I prefer the clean shave, but like I was like, give it a shot. Dude, nobody
Okay.
told me how itchy having a beard
Yeah,
is.
no,
Like,
it's kinda
that's the
crazy.
one fact
Yeah.
that like I did not know. Dude, I'm sat there some days just like going like this, and like at first I thought it like people just did that because they were
pondering.
like they were pondering, they wanted to look super stoic or whatever. And now I'm like, dude, I find myself, I'm just sitting on like a bus or something. I'm just going like this. And then I'm like, yo, people around me must think I'm like thinking about something heavily, but I'm just like, nah, my chin is just itchy. My chin is mad itchy right now, bro. Like that's the only thought going through my head. I'm like, dude, this hurts so bad right now. Like that's the only thoughts running through my head. But I know these people think I'm pondering like the craziest. They think I'm
The
modern
meaning
day
of life and
yeah,
everything.
but instead it's just my face is it hurts so bad. But yeah.
Moral of the story: beard equals itchy.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, I think it's a two-sided coin, you know? You get itch, but you also get to look like you're 10 years older than you are.
That's very
Or the age that you are. I think with some people it's like
yeah.
either you look way older than you are or you look at the age and then, reverse for when you're like clean shaven.
Yeah, because I look way younger than I am, for sure. Really? You don't think that? I feel like everyone tells me I
Well,
look
okay,
a lot
yeah,
younger
but again, you
than
need
I am.
to understand, like, as your brother, I have the perspective of seeing
That's
you,
true.
like,
That's true.
Because, like, people will, like, judge that based on, like, your appearance, right? But,
Yeah,
like, when
yeah.
I see you, I don't see your appearance, right? I see your soul.
That's,
you know
a
what I'm saying,
that's
though?
a crazy statement.
No, but like,
I
you
get
get
you
what
mean.
I'm saying.
I get
Like,
what you mean.
people, when like the more you get to know somebody, the more you see their character and not their appearance. That's
Yeah,
why,
true,
like, think
true.
about like relationships, right?
Mm.
Is like as time goes on, you don't really care about your partner's appearance anymore, and to a certain degree, right? Like
Yeah,
when you're like at
yeah.
the longest point of your relationship, you are so in love with the person, not like their appearance at all. Like at the beginning, when people are in relationships, I think people are like, oh, I want a girl that looks like this, like that. But then after you get that girl or boy, whatever, right? You get to a point where it's like, dude, I just love this person for their personality.
That's
like,
true.
I
That's true.
genuinely could not care what they look like. I would still be with them.
Well, I think that you still find them attractive.
Yeah.
It's just that you're less like scrutinizing of their appearance.
Exactly. And it's also like you create like a confirmation bias, right? Is that you'll go out of your way to find things that are right with the person, right? Because when you're starting dating somebody, you usually look for red flags, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I want to be careful. But like at this point, once you trust somebody fully, you're gonna search for all the green flags because your initial belief is that this person is a good person, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, that kind of segues into the idea of why don't you just think that everybody's a good person, right? Because like I think that, especially with dating like culture, I'm talking about dating heavily because I think it's such a prevalent problem that a lot of people have nowadays, especially young people.
Yeah.
Like people are afraid about getting into relationships, getting out of relationships, being out of a relationship, right? People are constantly fearing some kind of a thing surrounding it.
Yeah.
So that's just why I wanted to quickly touch on it. But like the problem being that if you go into a relationship, first off, not as a fully formed person, that's how you know you're susceptible to getting hurt.
Yeah.
Right? People are like, oh, how am I supposed to, feel like what it's like in a relationship? I don't want to be single. I don't want to be this. And there's truth to that, right? Obviously, you're going to want something else. You always want what you don't have, right? That's just the natural order of things. But again, I'd say strive towards gratitude. Strive to be happy with what you're at right now. But once you become like a fully formed person, I think that the effects that like heartbreak has on you is very different, right? Because you're not relying on that person to uphold your character. You know who you are. So if by chance that person leaves, it's not going to hurt as much because guess what? You're okay with that. Yeah. You're okay with being alone. That's the one thing that I'd urge all of you is learn how to get comfortable in your own skin. That's what I've realized in my like journey throughout this. Like I know I'm still a young person, so I know that I'm susceptible to change. But at this point in my life, I'm extremely comfortable in my own skin. Like I can wake up every morning with a smile on my face. I look in the mirror and I'm never mad about the person that I see. And when people ask me about myself now, it's so much easier to talk about it because I actually understand what kind of person am I? Who do I want to be? Right? And just having that comfort is really soothing, I want to say. I think that's the best way I can describe it.
Well, yeah, if you're not seeking validation from anyone else, it's because you've given yourself enough validation. Yeah. And that's the funniest thing. Anytime you masquerade this thought that I want a validation from other people, it's realistically just searching for validation from yourself. It's just that you're not happy with what you see. So you seek that compliment from other people.
Exactly. Because the one person that you can't truly lie to is yourself. That's the one person that you truly can't lie to because deep down in your heart, you know what's right.
Yeah.
So when you wake up and you feel unsatisfied or non-fulfilled, it's because you know in your heart that you didn't do what you sought out to do, right? But other people don't know that. Other people only know what you show them. So you can go out and display this facade that you've got it all together or whatever, and other people may believe that, but you won't, right? So at the end of the day, you're not turning out the faucet, you're mopping up the floor, right? You're just leaving the actual problem running.
And just treating the symptoms.
Yeah. So you're making the symptoms look good. You're making that floor look shiny, but that doesn't stop the faucet from running. Right?
That's actually a very good way to put it.
So I think that you need to attack the roots of your problems. And oftentimes, especially when it comes to these emotional issues, 100%, there are things out of your control. That is the reality of life. But it's preached in Stoicism, the idea that things are out of your control, so don't worry about those things. Instead, focus on your reactions, right? The one thing that's in control of you is you. Right? I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
I think in today's day and age, we strive away from that idea. And I think I'm kind of fearful of that. I'm very fearful of that in taking power away from the individual, right? We're very strong beings. Like humans are very strong beings. I think we just choose not to be because we're very afraid. We're afraid of being strong, which I don't quite understand, right? Like people are afraid to stand up against what they truly believe. Maybe it's because they're trying to follow a trend.
Yeah, it's probably because, they want to fit in. That's what it is.
That's why like a lot of people, I'd say, actually, I would say a lot of people that go to church, for example, right? The reason that they don't this is on average, like from what I know off the top of my head. I can't shoot you a statistic right away, but a lot of people that go to church or practice a religion oftentimes suffer less from mental illness. I think because they kind of have a more optimistic view on life, right?
Yeah,
they view in the idea that, okay, God has a plan for me. So when things go wrong, God's going to pick me up. And that all is a part of God's plan. So I just need to, trust, have faith, and just be a good person, right?
And whether you believe in God or not, like God, life, the universe, I think it will show you the path eventually. And also it will definitely send you signs. And let me tell you, this is why exactly why I want to get into my story, because this was a big sign from the universe or God, all right? So I almost died, okay? Now, here's the story. And it's me and my friend. And I won't name him for reasons, but he knows exactly who he is. But we're driving home, right? We just finished up our classes. And he has a couple assignments due the next day and a midterm to study for. I have a final exam. And we're sitting there the whole drive talking about how cooked we are. The whole drive. We're like, it's so over. Honestly, it might just be better to die to actually go out there and write this exam because we're both so cooked. We're driving. Everything's chill. We're just having this super, super, I wouldn't say depressing, but very doom and gloom conversation about how over it is. And I'm still trying to apply the whole, Brighter Horizons mentality. And in this conversation, I'm still like, all right, it's okay. We got a day to lock in. We're going to be fine. We're driving. We're about to take the exit off the highway. And in BC, we went through a pretty bad stormy day where the winds were absolutely insane. It rained like crazy, and it was just absurd weather. So this day was particularly windy. We're driving on the highway to take the exit, and I look up for 1 second, and it looked as if a giant took a toothpick that he had just used and just flung it out of the forest on the side of the highway. This ginormous tree branch just comes flying out from the side of the road, okay? All the way from here, just flies straight out here. I'm like, that's a pretty big tree branch. And then it just starts flying straight towards me. I'm like, that is literally going to impale me if I don't slam on the brakes. So I slam the brakes. Me and Justin just look at each other, and I just freaking name dropped him by accident. It's okay. I'll blur that out as I go through the freaking story. But actually, wait, I'll just ask him if he wants to be name dropped or not in this story. But, shout out to him, I guess. But this tree is falling, and I slam on the brakes, roll over the tree barely. Like, if I hadn't hit the brakes, that thing would have gone straight through the windshield. It would have been over, okay? And I slammed on the brakes, roll over it, and then I just pull over for a second. And we just look at each other, and we're like, we just almost died. That's crazy. Just driving. I have never had something like that happen. Like, I've had near misses with other cars, but I've never been almost struck down by God with a tree branch that came out of nowhere. Like, it genuinely made no sense because it's not like a tree fell. This branch, and it wasn't even a small branch. It was like yay thick and like probably longer than my arms could actually, show.
Also, they can't really see like the
true, but like probably longer than my entire wingspan. Okay, this giant branch just flies out from nowhere. How does that even happen? Like, it's not even a small branch. It was like just a small branch. Okay, whatever. No, this ginormous hunk of a tree just comes flying out of nowhere. It was like God said, hey, you, stop being negative. It was like, hey, you don't actually want to die because you will die if you want. If that's what you want, I can make that happen.
He was testing you.
He was 100% testing me. Yeah. He said, you want to die, huh? You sure that OChem final is that bad now? Because this tree might change your mind. That's what happened. So for me, as I went through the rest of that drive, I really thought to myself, why did that happen? And, some people might just chalk it up to a coincidence. And maybe that's what you want to do. But to me, I think that finding a lesson in something is kind of cool.
So you're crazy is what I'm hearing.
Am I crazy for believing in God?
No, I'm just kidding. It's fine.
That's what I thought.
Well, I mean, I think like superficially, it's kind of just a like tree branch. But I do believe in the point behind the story. Like, I think that idea, I think that what the universe showed you, and I sound like a crazy too, but what the universe showed you in this little scenario was just to cherish every moment, dude. Facts. One thing is that, and then appreciate every moment. Because you saying like, oh, I'd rather be dead than this, even in a sarcastic way, right?
Yeah.
It indicates that like you're not appreciative of what you have.
Yeah.
Right. So like, regardless of any scenario I'm going through in my life, like I don't even play with that anymore. I never like think to myself genuinely like I would rather die. That
100%.
For me, like the idea of suicide or death is out the window for me. For the rest of my life, I will never touch it. And anybody out there, like no matter what, understand it is never an option. It is
1000%.
never, ever, ever an option. Never turn to it. Never even look at it. Leave it on the bookshelf. Leave it in the different room.
Look at... Speaking of bookshelf, that's a perfect segue into this. You know what my best advice for somebody who feels like they want to end it is? Look at that book right there. The book itself has nothing to do with self-preservation, but look at the front cover, okay?
Which book are we? Oh, okay.
Changing World Order, all right? Now, I want you to point to the low point of that sinusoidal wave. That's the low point. Okay? We're looking at the low point of the wave. If you're in that low point right now, okay, let's say that you're going through some really challenging times. If you give up at that low point, you will never get to experience the high point, the crest. I mean, I would have pointed at the other peak of the wave.
But that's backwards in time.
Right? I guess you're right.
You hit a high, and then you go down.
But then it gets better. It gets better. But the thing is, if you quit at the bottom of that graph, you won't get to experience the rest of life, man. So trust me, giving up on your life is never the answer. Never the answer. Don't even think that that's a way out. Because the thing is, not only do you not get to experience the joy in life, meaning that all that suffering you just went through was for nothing, you leave that bottom feeling to everyone who cares about you.
And
Everyone.
I assure you that there are people that do. If you can't think off of the top of your head 5 people that care about you, I'm 5 of them, okay? Everybody out there, or we are 5 of them, all right?
Facts.
Like, there are always people that genuinely care about you. We talked about it. You know what's funny is, remember the video you brought up about the guy who talked to the homeless person?
Yeah.
And said a prayer with him? That video popped up on my For You page.
The phones are listening,
They
bro.
are 100%.
They are
Like,
listening.
we'll get into that actually in
Yeah,
a bit.
100%.
Because it's a little bit scary. Some suspicious, auspicious activities are happening.
Shenanigans.
Shenanigans are
What did I say? Shenanigans
He was
occur.
right. He was right about the shenanigans. I had to come around to it. But the main important thing is there are people like that out there. Like genuine people who really want to be there for you. Never think that just because the people you have right now might not be, that there never will be. Right? I can guarantee you there are people out there that care about you. No matter what you've done, no matter what mistakes you've made, no matter what things you've committed, there are people out there that are willing to forgive you so long as you're willing to forgive yourself. Right? And that's step number 1. You got to forgive yourself. We fall down. That's just life, right? You make mistakes. That's going to be how it is. And everybody's going to do it. Everybody goes through this. That is the nature of life, is to fail. It's to fall. But you just got to pick yourself back up. And I know it sounds so simple, right? But understand that there are people out there that are willing to lend a helping hand.
Yeah.
Right? There are people that are willing to go out there and actually actively pick you up. And if you don't have somebody, I am willing to bet you can find people on the internet. There are, I know that we want to push ourselves as influencers to become bigger, to help more people, but there are a ton of people out there that you can reach out to that I'm willing to bet would hit you back like that with some advice or some help, somebody to talk to. Because the internet is so vast, right? You can find hundreds of people that will truly listen to your problems and truly care. So don't be afraid to seek help. It's not wrong to seek help.
Yeah.
It's not weak to seek help. It's better to admit you walked through the wrong door than to stay in the wrong room for your whole life, right? Just admit that you made a mistake and then move on from it. But don't sit on it and then resort to a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Here's the thing, right? Do you know the song, that one song from Avatar, the one where it has like that chime like beat to it? Like the very, very peaceful song. from
Oh, yeah,
Avatar.
yeah, I know
Okay,
you're
see,
right.
that's all I need to say. You get
Yeah.
it. Okay, that
Like
song.
the boom, boom,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
that's the one. Like the one that plays at like the end of some
Yeah,
episodes.
yeah.
Okay, that song, one day when I was locking in for studying, I wanted to listen to that song. So I went on YouTube and I found it. I found like a 10-hour loop of it or something. And I put that on and I sit down and I study. And at the end of my study session, I saw that there was a comment at the very top of the video. And it was pretty long, so I decided to read it. Usually when I see a story like that, I'm intrigued. So I read the comment, and it was from this guy saying, I have hit an all-time low point in my life. My girlfriend just left me. My dog recently passed away. I lost my mother like a couple months ago. Or he just dropped bomb after bomb after bomb of bad events happening in his life. And he just said, everything is really, really unfortunate for me right now. But I know that eventually things will get better, so I'm just going to keep marching on. And the moral of the story there is not just to keep marching on like that guy. It's what the response to his story was. As I looked through the replies to those comments, there were hundreds of comments just responding, saying, dude, it's going to be all right, man. Like, we're all here for you. Like, if you're down, like, let's run some games or something. Like, people were out there genuinely reaching out to help this guy who they have no idea about. People are inherently good if you believe they're good. You got to give people the benefit of the doubt, man.
Absolutely.
Most people are good and looking out for you. They're trying to help you. So if you want to sit here and say nobody cares about you, you are just completely wrong. And more importantly, to say that your life has no meaning. Because when I sat there in that car, the rest of the drive, I just thought to myself how grateful I am for living. And more importantly, like the thing is, I might say it in a joking way, but I would never say I'm going to off myself, you know? I would never say that. But I thought for a minute that like on that car ride, I said it as a joke, and God said, don't even say it as a joke because it's not funny, right? And I think that your brain really takes what you say into account. So for example, even saying I'm cooked or it's over or like there's no way I'm going to do this is also bad for you. And let me tell you why. I had an organic chemistry final exam yesterday, probably the most difficult exam I've written so far in university. And I'm studying and studying and studying. And the day before, so on Monday, Monday. On Monday, I sat in a chair for 10 hours. 10 hours I sat in a chair and studied. Okay? I woke up at 6:30, went for a run, came home, showered, ate, sat down in my chair. The only time I got up from that chair was to eat or go to the bathroom. That's it. The rest of the day, I sat there going through notes after notes after notes. Am I Mike Tyson now? Live. Okay? Notes after notes after notes. And problem set after problem set. My God, it was excruciating. And then I got to a point about 2 hours before the exam. And I'm sitting in my kitchen eating my lunch before I go. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, there is no way I'm getting through this. Because I still had 9 lectures to get through. There's 2 hours left. And I hadn't done half the problems that I needed to do. Okay? I'm sitting there in my kitchen eating my meal. And I'm thinking it's so over. I need something to pick me up. So I go on YouTube. First video on my feed. Andrew Tate motivation. It's all in your head. I thought to myself, could it really get worse? Probably not. Give me that video right now. So I put it on. I sit there and I'm watching as I'm eating my rice, sitting there. And he says the most absurd story I've ever heard in my entire life. Okay? Now you're going to listen to the story and think I'm crazy, but I just want you to hear me out, okay? So he says, a guy came up to him and complained about the fact that Bitcoin's price was down and that he's losing a lot of money because of it. And this was Andrew Tate's advice to him, word for word. Here's what I want you to do. Go down to your local grocery store and buy an old lady her groceries. And then come home. The guy was like, what the hell does that have to do with the price of Bitcoin, Andrew? He was like, it has nothing to do with it. It's just the matter that regardless of how bad your situation is, you're going to go out there and do something good. And he said, it doesn't matter how much you hope. It doesn't matter how much you pray. It doesn't matter what you do in wishful thinking, hoping that the price of Bitcoin goes back up. What matters is, what do you do? Action is the most important thing. So you going there and buying that old lady her groceries has nothing to do with the price of Bitcoin. But maybe by some sheer coincidence or by some act of God, because you did something good, the price of Bitcoin will rise for another reason. Now, at first I thought this guy is just crazy. Like, this makes no sense. There's no applicability to this. And then he gave another example. He said, imagine that you're a farmer and you're sitting here in the days where there wasn't super advanced agriculture. So you don't have rain. Your crops are dying. You don't know what to do. You don't have food to put on the table. Now you have 2 options. Either sit here, beg the gods, please rain, or you go out there, do a little rain dance. Now, will your rain dance make it rain? Probably not. But maybe by some act of God or some coincidence, a neighboring tribe on a mountain sees you rain dancing. They say, hey, we collected a lot of extra water the last time it rained. We see that you could use some here. By coincidence, things happen. So, the moral of the story, even though it sounds absurd, is to take action wherever you can. Don't sit here and think that everything sucks and hope for a solution. Instead, find what you can do. You may not be able to solve your problem directly. For me, I still had 9 lectures to get through. Am I going to be able to get through all 9 of them? No, probably not. But what can I do? I can go there and get through as many as I can, practice as hard as I can, study for the last 2 hours that I have, and then go to this exam and hope for the best. If I had just sat there, gave up, and said, I'm cooked no matter what, I would have failed. And now the funniest thing is, I believed him. Even though I knew that it was kind of crazy, I had this blind faith in him. I said, all right, you know what, Andrew? I'm going to believe you, and I'm going to give this a shot. So I go and I study my butt off for the last 2 hours. I did not move from that chair. I put these headphones on, did not move, and I was locked in. Studied as hard as I could. Then I hop in my car, and I start driving to go to school. It's about a 30-minute drive. And the whole 30 minutes, shout out to my boy who's also in this OChem class, I'm on the phone with him, reviewing reactions up the mountain as I go. The whole time I'm driving, I'm still talking. Okay, to convert NO2 to NH2, you need, SN and HCl, like stuff like that. I'm just talking all these different reagents you need, reactions you need, figuring stuff out and putting my best effort in. And I get to the exam, I open the first page. Okay, this is light work, I got this. Open the second page. Light work. Got this. Third page. Okay, this is still pretty easy. Not as easy as the first 2, but it's all right. 4, 5, 6 were kind of tough. 7 was where it really started to ramp up. 8 and 9, I got nothing. Not a single question on 8 and 9. Like, I took my best shots at them, but I was not 100% sure about anything on those 2 pages. But the funny thing is, the act of God came in the form of an angel, of a savior, my TA. I'm not even joking. I sat there in this exam writing, and I was really confused about several questions that were worth 3 or 4 marks, okay? And I asked this TA, and he was the most helpful person I could have possibly asked for. If you've written university exams, you know that 90% of these TAs don't give good hints. They don't really help you because they know that if they give you too good of a hint, they're giving away the answer.
Yeah.
This guy, he was super, super helpful. And I'm not going to lie, I got lucky that he was in my lecture hall and not the other one. I got blessed. And maybe it was because I put in my best effort and God decided he really tried. Let me throw him a bone. Maybe not. I don't know. But the point is, I did my best and things worked out for the best. So I'm going to say for all of you out there, whatever challenge you're going through, don't sit there and say, I'm cooked. Instead, get up and start cooking something up. Work on something. And then the best results will come no matter what.
I think that people don't seem to get it is, what do you really have to lose? What do you have to lose by doing your best, by smiling the most, by being happy, by putting good out there? Like, suppose in the Andrew Tate situation, the guy goes and buys the old lady groceries, but the price of Bitcoin doesn't go up. He still put a smile on somebody else's face, and I'm willing to bet that there's a smile on his too, right? So at the end of the day, now what? If he didn't do anything, he'd be frowning, right? Because price of Bitcoin's down. But now he's smiling while the price of Bitcoin is still down. So logically, there's no reason to not feel happy about life. There is no reason to not be positive, to have a good outlook, to try your best. There is no reason, right? The only thing that's stopping you is yourself. You literally just need to put yourself out there. Just try it for a day. I'd say, like, if you try it for a day of genuinely being happy, man, you'll never want to lose that ever again. Yeah. Once you get a taste of genuine happiness, of waking up with that feeling of just being light. Like, people, actually, I guess people don't ask me this, but I ask myself this, is what do I actually define as happy? Right? When do I actually genuinely feel like I'm happy? You know, I talk about how, I'm not sad, so that must mean I'm happy. But in upcoming discoveries, we'll realize that that may not be quite the case.
Yeah.
But I describe it as this feeling of being light, of being, like, free almost.
Carefree.
Unchained. You know,
that's a really good way.
You're not being held down by anything. You don't carry things on your shoulders. You just feel light. I feel like I could just fly up into the sky. Maybe the wind will take me over like I'm Flat Stanley. I don't know. But
what? Eren Yeager. That's what I feel like.
What did I say? Oh,
free.
Yeah, okay. But that idea of just being able to float away, like you're just in the clouds, man. Not like in that sense, like you're high. I'm not.
That's not what I meant. I was thinking about vacation, Terry.
Oh,
I'm like a balloon, untethered in the wind.
How tethered is Vacation Terry to his wife? Very tethered. It's a Brooklyn Nine-Nine reference for you guys. You guys should definitely go watch that show. Absolutely
hilarious.
Absolutely amazing show.
I love life.
That idea of just being free, man. Like, and the thing is, it's not that you don't have worries. Like me, I've been at a point where I've had like I have a midterm on Friday.
Me too.
Right? That I need to study for. Instead, I'm down here recording a podcast episode.
Yep.
But despite the weight of the burdens that I bear, I still don't let it hold me down. Right? These burdens, and the other thing that people don't realize is you can share them, right? That's why you have people around you to carry some of that weight, because the truth is there's a lot of weight to carry. But it also matters what really matters is when do you choose to pick it up? Because sometimes in your life, you carry around weights that you don't need. Think about weights as like shot put balls that you're using to break through walls in your life. If you carry around a massive sack of 100, you're not even going to get to the first wall before you can throw your first one. But if you only bring 2 with you, you can throw those problems at these walls, right? You carry all these things with you, but you don't use half of them. You got a project that's due in 3 months. Why are you stressing so much over it now? Why is it occupying your mind so much? Again, don't procrastinate, but plan it out. Plan it out in a way that you understand that, hey, it's in the future. Right now, it's not. Is it the highest priority for me to worry about? No. That's the problem. People become so afraid and confused because they see, oh my God, I have a million problems right now. What do I do? But do you really have a million problems? Because I'm willing to bet 999,990 of those problems aren't even important until the next month, maybe the next year, maybe the next decade. Like, especially when it comes to like education, I'm not saying skip out on school, right? It's very important to perform as well as you can in your studies. Do not get me wrong there. But people like are afraid that, oh my God, if I fail this one midterm, it's over. If I fail this one class, it's over. My life is done. But I talked about this on a previous episode, and my econ professor told us, he's like, hey guys, at the end of the day, it's just a test, right? And sometimes things aren't going to work out. Sometimes even if you study, you still might do bad on a test, and that's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of your career. It's not like you're never going to graduate because you didn't do this, right? Instead, you just got to look at it from a more positive lens, right? Like, yeah, I messed up maybe on this test, but how do I improve for the future? And also, it's in the past, right? It is what it is, and we got to pick ourselves up and keep moving, right? Because unfortunately, the world doesn't stop for anybody. No matter how badly you may wish for the sun to not rise tomorrow so you can just lay there and understand life, unfortunately, it doesn't do that. And one thing that I found is that the reason so many people have struggles finding happiness is because they don't actually take that time. The truth is that the world won't stop, right? And you need to heal. When things go wrong, you need to heal. That's a part of life, right? Nobody can just pick themselves up after something bad happens like that. Very few people can just snap back to reality and just keep moving, right? And move on without hurt. Some people think they can, but then those scars build up over time and then they get to a point where they break because they never took the time to truly heal. So when something bad happens, it's okay to take a break for a minute, to just pause and just be like, hey man, okay, what am I going to do? Now that doesn't mean put your whole life on hold for a year or 2 years, 3 years, 5 years because of a minor inconvenience, but sometimes take a day. Maybe you don't do so well on an assignment because you took a day. But maybe your time here is better on earth because you did. Because I'm willing to bet you that if I had a friend who had to pick between, living their life by not committing suicide and completing an assignment, I definitely pick their life anytime, right? So the truth is, I think we undervalue how important our mental health truly is, right? And how we need to take the time to heal. There is no escaping that reality. So when things don't go your way, because they won't, that's inevitable, learn to take some time to heal. Even though the world won't stop, let go of your worries for, even if it has to be an hour, just let go of everything for just a small amount of time and truly reflect on your problem. Because I think that's where you'll find the truest solutions.
And the thing is, you might freak out about these little problems, but let me tell you, other people make way bigger mistakes than you. Let me tell you, this is one of the shenanigans I was talking about that happened to us this week. We're driving to go pick something up. We're stopped at a red light. The other side of the road is going. They get the left turn signal. 2 BMWs decide we're going to pull the coolest thing ever and drift through this left turn. First guy drifts out onto our road, cuts back, perfect, goes. Second guy drifts out, oversteers this way, spins out, and crashes on the side of the road. Right over the curb into the little ditch and the bus stop. Okay? Luckily, no one was hurt. There were people standing at that bus stop. Luckily, none of them were hurt. But the thing is, he crashed his car right there. The funniest thing is, guess who was in the left turn lane?
Police officer.
A cop. Right there. Right there watching this guy drift and mess up. So whatever mistake you made, first of all, no hate him or anything. He made a poor choice, messed up, and now he's going to have to deal with the consequences. But to you out there, if you're sitting here freaking out, I got a 70% on this assignment, losing your mind over that is not going to help you, okay? Acknowledge that there are bigger mistakes out there, bigger fish to fry, and more importantly, that you don't got to get hung up on this because you have a whole life ahead of you.
Exactly.
You have many opportunities to get better. There's no point getting hung up on this because getting hung up on this doesn't make the rest of your opportunities any better. They don't fix anything. Sitting here, wallowing in despair, doesn't fix anything. You know what does? Picking yourself up and doing something about it. And that's exactly why those motivation videos work for some people. For me, for example, I'm a guy who really absorbs good stuff into my life. All it takes is a little bit of external, I like external motivation. I can motivate myself and keep myself disciplined. That's why I go to the gym. That's why I run. That's why I read every day. Because I like doing that. And more importantly, it's the kinds of things that help keep me centered, That's why I meditate every day. And more importantly, why I take cold showers every day. It sucks. Let me tell you, after I got back from my exam at 11 o'clock, I'm sitting there laying in bed for about 5 minutes just to let my brain relax, thinking to myself, I don't want to go take this cold shower. This sucks. I literally spent the whole day studying. I'm exhausted. I just want to take a warm shower and go to sleep. What did I do? Jumped in that water and turned it all the way to cold and froze my feet off and then got out and went to bed. Why? Because I said I'd do it. That's discipline. Doing those little actions every day add up. But for me, other than discipline, that external motivation can be really good for me sometimes. So when I'm sitting there thinking it's over when it comes to that final exam, and I watched that one video, it was enough to reignite that spark in me and let me keep going. Sometimes when I lose sight of my goals, when I think I really want to be successful in life, but sometimes I'll have lazy days. But on those days, all it takes is me to see one Lamborghini on the road and it's over. Because I think I'm not going to have that if I don't get out there and work every day. If I don't really put my best effort into everything I do. So for me, today, one big thing was driving to school in the morning. Me and my buddy, we're sitting there driving, we're chilling. First car we pull onto the highway with is a Porsche 911 Carrera. Nice car. And I'm thinking, man, I'm not going to have that car if I don't really work. But then God decided to really hit the point home because as I take the exit off the highway. So when I got on the highway and when I get off the highway, this time it's a Miami Blue 2018 Porsche GT3. Okay. That car is so nice. It sounded so good. I felt every backfire through the glass. It was the best feeling ever driving behind this thing. And it drove all the way to my school. That was the biggest shocker. A guy who goes to my school drives a Miami GT3, Miami Blue GT3. That's absurd. That I wonder what this guy did to achieve it. Was it parent money? I don't know. Maybe. But to me, the better thing is to know that it's possible. To know that people out there achieve these great things, so I can too. That's my mentality. When I see someone out there who's super rich, my first thought isn't, dude, that's insane, he got lucky. My first thought is, I want to do that. I want to get out there and be successful. So you can do one of two things when you see other people that are successful. You can A, blame it on external things and say that they got lucky, or B, take it as motivation and use it as fuel to push yourself further. That's what I like to do. I like to take those little things and use it. Use every little experience in my life to propel me forward in life and make me get better. Mm-hmm. That's what I like.
I think that like drawing from external sources is extremely important. Like the idea that you need to be completely internal, I think that it's the best, right? Internal motivation or discipline is the most valuable commodity, but it's also the most difficult, right? That's what makes it so valuable, is that it takes a lot of time to achieve it. And again, I've definitely used this analogy probably a really long time ago on the podcast, but how like motivation is what starts the engine, but discipline is keeping your foot on the gas, right? So I think that sometimes you just need a jump start. You just need a quick start. You need something out there, but you're never going to find that something if you're never looking.
Yeah.
Right. So when you want things in life, you can't go around looking for all the reasons why you can't get it. Instead, if you look for the reason that you can, or the signs that you can, meaning other people doing it, it'll give you so much more optimism, right? And like with me, I joined this club recently at school, and I've been talking about this club because it's genuinely, I want to say changing my life, but I'll say improving my life a lot, right?
Hasn't stopped talking about it since you joined.
It changed my entire view on university. So one thing is actually keep an open mind. Everybody, like when you go to a new place, keep an open mind because you never know what and who you might find. And if you keep yourself in a closed-minded area, you're never going to get the chance to actually experience that.
Yeah.
So one of my main things with this club is that at first it was kind of terrible because I had no idea what I was doing. I had absolutely zero clue what I was doing. I botched all the cases I was doing. Like, it was bad. But then, slowly, little by little, I botched a case today, but that was an outlier. It was very difficult. But in general, I got better, right? Time went on, and that's a part of life, right? You're going to start at a really low point. But if you just let yourself, get back up the curve, it's going to work out. Having that bit of optimism, right? Because people seem to think like, oh my God, I'm at a low point. It's going to be a low point forever, right? That kind of, I want to say naive pessimism, right? It's believing that everything will always be negative is like, it just serves you wrong. Because why assume the worst in every single scenario? Yeah. Because I think that people have, as they've grown older, complicated issues in life. They've made things more difficult than they have to be, more complex than they have to be. And this ties to something that I actually saw on Instagram. And it was a video talking about young kids explaining love. Like they asked a bunch of young kids, I think in the age range of like 4 to 10 years old, all right, what they think love is, right? And I'm just going to read all of them out because first off, it put a smile on my face. It was really nice to see it, and genuinely, it just made me happy, so I want to share that with you guys. Unfortunately, I don't know the Instagram account that posted it. I'll see if I can find it or something, but in any case, the quotes, so one of them was, love is when you find a flower and give it to a friend. Love is when you want to be around someone. Love is when you go out to eat and give somebody most of your fries without making them give you any of theirs.
That is a hardcore,
Right?
damn.
Yeah. Love is God. Okay. When someone loves you, the way they say your name is different. You just know that your name is safe in their mouth.
There's no way a kid wrote that.
That's
There's
what I was
no
thinking. That was the
shot.
only one I was doubtful for.
No
but
shot.
in any
That
case,
is some Edgar Allan Poe poetry level
yeah,
stuff.
like that
bro.
was brilliant. Okay. Love is what makes you smile when you're tired. Love is when mom gives dad the last Dr. Pepper. Okay. And love is a heart. Right? So as kids, we find it so simple, right? But nowadays, like think about like how it's such a big milestone in somebody's life. Or like in a relationship when you say I love you for the first time, right? People
Yeah.
consider that such a big thing.
That's crazy.
Right? And you know what's funny? I think that in a relationship, you start to love somebody long before you'll ever say it. Because you just don't realize it. Like, I think that love is so much simpler than we make it to be. We make it this big thing as if it needs to be super exclusive. But remember, again, I've referenced that video again and again. But the video of, I don't know his name, on the pier with the homeless guy, and he says to him, I love you, bro. When was the last time that you heard that? That really triggered it for me. Like, when he said, when was the last time you heard that?
See, I told you that video was deep.
And you think to yourself that in your life, those words don't mean much. You think those words don't mean much to your life. But look at somebody like that. Look about how, if you watch that video and you see him and he's just like, when was the last time you heard that? You see the man just hit like that sad, the
tears in
true
his eyes,
sadness. Like
yeah.
he genuinely felt like, I haven't felt that in a long time. There's so many people out there that would give anything for somebody to just say, I love you. You know how crazy that is? We take that so much for granted that people around us love us. So why not be that person for somebody else? Why not love your enemy, right? Why not love every single person around you? Why not love every being and treat them like you do? Because remember that love is displayed through actions, not words. So, and that's the thing is like, speaking is also an action, right? And it's the way that you deliver it. If somebody just says, hey, I love you, man, and just like kind of like, you know, glosses over it like nothing and just doesn't talk to the person, you can tell that they don't mean it.
Yeah.
But if somebody genuinely just says, hey, man, like, I love you, bro, no matter what you're going through, just know that we're here for you. It's that kind of a thing. You genuinely need to show people that because some people don't get that. And that's such a heartbreaker for me to think that there are so many people out there that just never get told that. And you know, there's actually a video of this girl, I saw it on Instagram. She was talking about how like she was with her boyfriend and she told her boyfriend, you are deserving of love. And he cried so hard that his nose started bleeding because nobody ever said that to him. And it's so tragic to me. And I know that it's mainly men in this society, but in anyone's case, to never be able to hear the words, I love you, is a fate I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Right? That's, it's tragic because people are so afraid to say it, I think. But you feel it. That's the thing. It's like the quote says, actually, I'm just going to pick one of them. Love is when you want to be around someone. How many people in your life do you just want to be around? How many people do you genuinely just smile when you're with them? That every time that you're with them, it feels good. That sometimes when they're not around, it doesn't feel good. That's love, my friend. That is love. And it doesn't need to be romantical love. It doesn't mean that you want to go on a one-on-one cheesecake date with this person, okay? But what it means is that you care about them. You genuinely do. Love isn't just romance. It's more than that. And you need to express that. Because people genuinely care about you and you care about them. So why not show it? The reason is that so many people commit acts against themselves like suicide because they don't understand that fact. Because nobody displayed it to them. No matter how many people are feeling it. You could say, I love my friend. I really care about this guy. But if he never knew that, then what did it really matter? Mm-hmm. Did it really matter how you feel about the situation if they never know?
Yeah.
So through your actions, through your words, display that. It doesn't have to be a lot. It could just be giving somebody most of your fries without taking any of theirs.
Or giving somebody the last Dr. Pepper.
Exactly. Doing the small things can display the big things.
And the thing is, you don't know what a lot of people are going through, and you will never know unless you ask. Because let me tell you, I know a couple of people out there who be going through some serious stuff and don't say anything. And it's funny because I remember that I was like, dude, there is something off. And then eventually it came to light. And at that point, I was like, you went through all that and didn't say anything. I thought I was your friend. And I felt really bad knowing that I wasn't even there when he went through something like that. And so to all of you out there who, if you're friends with somebody, my advice is to check up on them. Ask them how they're really doing. Ask them what they're going through, because you never really know what one of your homies is going through 99% of the time. Because let's be honest, as boys, we don't really say much. We just, we chill at home, we go to our jobs, we go to school, and then every time where there's a hangout party, we have fun. Okay? We go out there, play ball, do whatever it is that you do with your friends. But other than that, you don't really have like real conversations with them about those kinds of issues very often unless you actually bring it up. So you don't really know what they're going through. And if you're the person who's going through something and not saying it, bro, let me tell you, man, I've been down that path. I've been there. And,
been there, done that.
100%. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you, it's not a good fate that awaits you at the end of that road.
Absolutely.
So I think that you find it weak and disappointing to talk about your failures or things that are bothering you. But by bringing it out into the open, a real friend is not going to judge you for having problems because they know that they have problems too. And more importantly, they know that they can go to you with those problems because they trust you like that. And if they don't, and you don't trust them, you got to find somebody that you do, man, because it is extremely important to have people like that you can share those moments with. Because for me, those moments that I had to deal with alone were the worst. Sitting there by myself, being in my own head and overcomplicating things is the worst because your mind exaggerates. It exaggerates a lot of things and makes them seem much worse than they really are. But when you bring them up to a friend, he'll sit there and say, yo, slow down for a minute. It's all right. Think about it this way. Maybe you didn't see this perspective. Because if you really think about it, your own mind will rarely come up with new ways to perceive a problem. Somebody else can introduce those perspectives to you and help you overcome your challenges. So don't sit here trying to bottle up these feelings and deal with everything by yourself. You don't have to do that, all right? Have good friends that you can do that with. I'm not saying go out there and spew all your emotional issues on the internet or sob for attention. I'm saying go out there and make close friends that will help you tackle any problem you go through.
Absolutely. And there's no shame in making bad decisions, right? That's what I find that people mess up when they're trying to give help. And this is something that I've done. When people have asked me for help, I'd always talk about why, you made a bad decision. Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? But you can't be hung up on the why did you do these things, right? I mean, obviously it's important to address the reasoning for people making decisions. But don't be like, hey man, you're such an idiot. Why would you even do that? Why would you go back to her? Why would you do this? Why would you do that? That's not important right now. What's important is moving on. And it's actually a quote from Mark Twain. He said that good decisions come from experience. Experience comes from bad decisions. So, through life, you got to make some bad decisions. And that's just a part of life.
Yeah.
That's how you learn. You live and you learn. You're going to make mistakes. But picking yourself up after them doesn't have to be such a lonely process. That's the one thing I don't like about, the winter arc or whatever that people talk about nowadays. And it's completely close yourself off from everybody. I think that kind of a society, is it even worth it to live? Right? Is it really worth it to become better at the cost of your genuine happiness?
That's interesting for me because I don't think it's that easy. Because for me, I actually like the idea of it, not because I want to cut everybody else off, but because I'm committed to self-growth. And I think that if it works for you, it works for you. Like, for example,
No, but I'm saying, like, I agree. I completely agree. If something works for you, it works for you. But I think people twist that idea into it has to be lonely.
well, okay, I think that people make it more dark than it has to be. That's the best way to put
No,
it.
but like, I mean, yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree. I
Yeah.
think that people are taking it to a negative way,
Yeah.
in which they shouldn't. Right? Self improvement should always, whether it be physical, mental, whatever, should always be in a positive space. But that idea, like, people are like, oh, like you need to be, like cold almost, or you need to like do it alone. It's like, if that works for you, that's fine. If you don't want to socialize when you're in the gym, if you just want to, hey, I want to get in and get out with my workout, that's okay. That's completely fine. That's up to you. But it's the people that like are social people that actually want to do those things that actively choose not to because it's like a trend to be alone and mysterious, nonchalant, if you will, right? So people are hopping on these trends, these bandwagons, saying like, oh, I want to be like, all this dark and mysterious. I want to be on my winter arc. I want to be this. And it's like, if that works for you, then that's great. Do it 100%. But if that's not who you are, then why are you trying to live it? Right? People will post a million self-help programs out there. And it's the same thing with ours, right? What we say out here, if you try it and it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's a part of life, right? There's tons of ways to approach these problems. So you just have to find what works for you. We've definitely talked about this before. The idea that help becomes personalized, right? As you go on, you're going to find things that help you specifically better than anybody else. And you just need to accept that. Don't try to say that just because it worked for somebody else means it'll work for me. That means I should try it, right? It's proven success. But it's just like science, right? You can't expect to have different reactants and expect the same products, right? You and another person are different reactants, right? Even if you go through the same chemical process, you may not end up with the same products. You might, but a lot of the times you won't. So that means you just got to alter something about the process, change something up to make it actually fit to you, to contort to you, to make it work for you. Make your systems work for you. Don't work for your systems.
Mm-hmm. And the one thing I will say about the winter arc that I like is maybe not the isolation from people, but I like the isolation from distractions element. I like pulling myself away and allowing myself to really focus on what matters. Because let me tell you a story. A young man's parents are murdered in the alley, and this kid is super dark and alone. So what does he do?
Batman.
Batman didn't freaking become Batman by staying in Gotham City. What did Batman do? He leaves Gotham City to go spend time in the mountains.
How do you know this? You haven't even watched like the Dark Knight trilogy.
What can I say? I know people, okay? Also, it's Batman. Everyone knows Batman. Okay?
That's true.
Point is, he goes to be in the mountains where he gets taught how to fight. He learns all these different martial arts, all these different weapons. He learns to become an absolute menace so that he can go back to Gotham City and be the Batman. Without that time alone where he learned everything, he wouldn't have became Batman. Am I saying the journey of becoming Batman is for everyone? Absolutely not. No. If that journey of going there, breaking your ribs, breaking every bone in your body to try and learn this stuff is insane, or for our situation, paralleling this, going there into isolation without being around anybody, if that doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you, and that's okay. But I do like the fact that you should be able to cut out some of these distractions. We've talked about it a lot, but the world is full of noise. Hella noise out there, ladies and gentlemen. Even now, as you listen to me talk, I guarantee you there's something else going on in your life or in your brain that you're thinking about, right? You will very rarely find yourself capable of sitting down and focusing on something. So to be able to cut out those distractions and create that laser focus, I think that's a gift that you should utilize every once in a while.
Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the very end of episode 49. But before you guys go, you're going to need to stick around a little bit longer because you already know what time it is. It is time for Quote
Of
the
Week.
Herm.
Quote of the week. In the end, it's not the years in your life that matter. It's the life in your years that does. So this is why I say, you got to be grateful, man. You got to be grateful that you're alive every single day. Because obviously you don't know when it ends. But more importantly, what happens in those years is the most critical thing. Because that is something you can't control. You can't control when it's all over. You can't control how you live every day, and you can't control whether you're grateful for it or not. So go out there, smile, and be grateful for the things you have.
Thank you guys once again for sticking around to the very end of episode 49. Make sure you stay tuned for episode 50, the big half century coming up on Monday, hopefully.
Yes, sir.
So we will try our best to get that out on time for you guys. It'll be a very important episode. But make sure you go out there and you be positive, that you live your life with a smile. You die with a smile. Bruno Mars
That
reference.
song is so good.
It
Oh
is
my
really
God.
good. Love that song. But ensure that you display love to everybody, that you're grateful for every day on this planet. Walk around with a smile on your face and make sure you live a positive life, y'all. Peace out.